The first guitar we built looked like a steel guitar a little bit. It had keys, 3 on this side and 3 on the upper side, and each side of it kind of slanted with three keys on each side. After we got started on that and made that first prototype, we had quite a lot of comments from musicians, and one of them was, why not put the keys all on the upper side? And that wasn't a new idea either, because that goes back way back, many years back. But also, with Leo being the genius he was, in laying this thing out, Leo didn't want to see the string bend at the bone nut. He wanted it to extend straight on to the post, every one of the strings. Because if you know yourself, looking at other guitars, most of them slant sideways from the bone nut. All of the Fender guitars, all the strings lay in a straight line from the ridge to the string post without any side action on it. We found the side action, if you don't have the nut done exactly properly, you will get side action, side movement on it, and you will kill some of the vibrations of the guitar. And the length, mainly the length that was taken, we used to work a lot from other instruments like Epiphone guitar. And many of our things was taken from the length, string length on the Epiphone guitar. And the shape, the curve of the neck, and various things about it. But also in those days, the only thing available that you could use for a fretboard was if you bought another guitar and took a fretboard off of it. So how do you get a fretboard? We had to make our own. So in order to put the frets in the right position, that was a little bit of a problem. So Leo had a secretary that did all the office work, and she did all these things. She was very sharp gal, and she knew a lot about a lot of things. And with her equipment, the electronic equipment, the office and things, she was able to come up with a way, the mass of a string and certain spacing on the string and the tone it would produce at that particular note. And each one of those strings was all based, and she ran each one of them out separately and laid out a complete chart for this. So we had tried some guitars by taking fretboards off of old guitars and making up necks and gluing them on, and they didn't note true. See, the older guitars didn't matter too much whether they noted all that true or not, because you couldn't hear all that playing anyway. But you get an electric guitar, that note has to be right. And when you note that, that thing has to be exactly where it's supposed to be. So we were able then, after she did this worked out the scale for us, we were able then to set up and have a machine made that would cut these slots in the neck. We built the machine. We had our tool and die maker come up with all the parts. We actually built the machine in our shop to build it, to cut these fret slots. Before that, the first ones we did them by hand. We would lay it out like that first one you're talking about, that first guitar. I did all that myself, laid that out by hand. I would measure with a caliper, a vernier caliper, or micrometer and things, and starting from the bone nut, and you'd measure down to the center of the first fret, and then you'd measure from that down from the nut down to the center of the second fret, and so on. And it took a lot of laying out. And then we'd mark all these, and then we'd saw those slots by hand, and then dry hammer the frets into those slots. Okay. We wanted this neck to be replaceable. So, in other words, because we had seen necks on other people's guitars get broken, so we wanted a neck that would be replaceable. So we decided that it would be best to make this so-called bolt-on neck, and we made one, and we cut out this opening and put it on from the back with screws with a metal plate on it, which goes through the body into the neck. And this, well, we started out. Of course, the only thing we had was a hollow body guitar available in those days. So they had not only they had this curve here, they also had the curve over there. And we found immediately it was hard to it was hard to get all the way down to get to the end of the last fret. So we started then making sketches how we could make this and still retain this curve and this cutout on the body for, you know, a place to rest it on your lap for holding it. But also we needed a way for the player to be able to reach all the frets all the way to the end of it. So the main thing to do was make this cutout large enough that the player's hand would slide freely all the way to the end without interference by part of the body. And that was one of the big features of the guitar.